Boston has a 60-win roster, a giant tax bill, and a star coming back from injury. So how do you actually build this team for next season? Do you pay anything to keep a champion together? Or does the apron finally force a hard choice? Let me lay out the realistic scenarios and the one I'd run. Here's the plan. 3 realistic paths. Scenario A, run it back healthy. Scenario B, the apron reckoning, shed salary to get flexible. Scenario C, a targeted reshape for a better playoff fit. For each, the cost, the payoff, and the risk. Then, my verdict. The roster facts are verified. The scenarios are my projections. Let's build. This is Game is Culture. Quick thing before we build. If you like roster construction with real cap and trade logic, subscribe. It's free and it helps a ton. Now, Scenario A. Scenario A, run it back healthy. The simplest path is also the strongest. Keep the entire core, re-sign your own key pieces, add a cheap veteran big with the mini exception, and bet on the obvious. A healthy Jason Tatum next to a Jaylen Brown who just carried a 60-win team is a championship pairing. This roster was a top 4 net rating team without Tatum. Add him back and they're a favorite. The plan is get healthy and pay the bill. What it costs is money, a lot of it, a historic luxury tax penalty, plus the roster restrictions of the second apron. What it gets is the highest title odds of any path. The risk is twofold, the bill and the bet that Tatum returns to full strength after a major injury. But if you believe in the player and the medicine, this is the move. You don't break up a contender to save a tax bill. Scenario B, the apron reckoning. The pragmatic path. The second apron penalties are so harsh, the frozen picks, the lost flexibility, that some teams decide the cost isn't worth it. Boston could move one sizable salary, a well-paid role player, to duck back under the apron. That restores the full mid-level, unfreezes their picks, and eases the tax. The core stays, the edges get cheaper, and they buy back their roster-building tools. The cost is real depth. The players on those mid-sized contracts are good, and you'd be swapping one of them for cheaper, lesser pieces. So you trade a sliver of your ceiling for a healthier balance sheet and the flexibility to make moves later. For a team one injury away from a title, that's a genuine debate. Sometimes the most aggressive thing a contender can do is get its tools back. And here's the data point that makes Scenario A so compelling. Boston was a top 4 net rating team in the entire league this year, with its best player, Jason Tatum, on the bench for all but 16 games. Sit with that. They were elite without him. Now imagine adding a healthy two-way superstar back to a group that already overachieved. That's not a team that needs a rebuild or a shakeup. That's a team one healthy body away from being the favorite, which is exactly why running it back is the strongest bet. Scenario C, reshape for the playoffs. And the targeted path. Boston is not trading Jaylen Brown. That's been made clear, so this isn't a teardown. But they could swap a role player for a better postseason fit, specifically more size and physicality up front. The exact thing the 76ers exploited. Same stars, same payroll tier, but a roster built more deliberately for a 7-game grind in May instead of an 82-game sprint. And the reshape logic is grounded in exactly what beat them. The 76ers won that series by being bigger and more physical, punishing Boston on the glass and at the rim the moment Neemias Queta went to the bench. So a smart Scenario C isn't about chasing another star, it's about adding a rugged, playoff-sized body up front, even if it costs a smaller, more skilled piece. You're not changing the team's identity, you're armoring the one soft spot that every good playoff opponent is going to attack. Same ceiling, but far fewer ways to get bounced early. Quick halftime note, if you want the verdict on every team's best path this summer, subscribe, it's free. Now let's put the 3 side by side. Stack them up. Scenario A, run it back, the highest ceiling and the highest bill. Scenario B, shed salary, lower ceiling but real flexibility and sanity. Scenario C, reshape, same ceiling with a better playoff fit but harder to actually execute. 3 flavors of the same truth. This is a title team whose only real enemies are health and the cap sheet. And the title odds tell the story. By my read, a healthy run-it-back Boston is right near the top of the East. Call it a clear top 3 contender. Shedding salary nudges that down slightly for the sake of flexibility. A full reshape is a wild card. It could help or hurt depending on the fit. The point is, every path here starts from contention. That's a luxury most teams would kill for. The verdict. My call, scenario A, with a touch of C. Run it back because you do not break up a healthy contender over money, and Boston ownership has always paid. But use that one cheap exception specifically on the size they lacked against Philadelphia, so you're not just running it back, you're running it back smarter. Pay the bill, fix the one hole, and bet on a healthy Tatum. That's the championship play. The other paths are smart hedges against a scary tax bill, but you don't hedge a title window, you push it. Boston is too close, with too much invested to get cute now. And the sequence is straightforward. This summer, re-sign your own and add the veteran big. Through the season, manage Tatum's return carefully, no rushing a long-term injury for a regular season game. Then in the playoffs, where this roster either validates the tax bill or doesn't. The whole season is built around one thing, having a healthy, deep team standing in May. And there's a reason the apron pressure in scenario B is so tempting, beyond the money. The frozen draft picks are the real killer. A contender that can't trade future firsts loses the ability to ever upgrade via the midseason market. You become a team that can only get worse, never better, until you duck back under. So shedding one salary isn't just about the tax bill, it's about buying back your own future, the right to make a deadline move when injuries or opportunities strike. That optionality has real championship value. Where could I be wrong? If ownership balks at a record tax bill, scenario B's salary dump becomes the mandate, and that's defensible given how punishing the apron is. And if Tatum's recovery is slow, the whole timeline shifts toward patience. But for a franchise this close, with a track record of spending, betting on health and continuity is the highest expected outcome. So that's the full picture for Boston. Run it back, shed salary, or reshape for the playoffs. 3 real paths for a tax-loaded contender. Which one would you run? That wraps the Celtics. Drop your build below, and we are so close to 1,000 subs, so subscribe to stay up to date.